Here we go. Lisa Spencer on the line with us from the Indiana County Department of Human Services, brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
It's such a pretty day. Why? How could I not be good?
I know. It makes it even a little trickier to get out of bed when it's raining.
You know, Jake Slobodnik, who's doing news for us this week, says this is his favorite kind of weather.
So, you know what? Anthony from IT just told me that. He said he likes rain, and I don't understand. It just makes me tired. So.
All right. Well, anyway, we've got some things to talk about. And, you know, that might be a good way to look at things. Sometimes people can get over gloomy themselves. They might have a little bit too much rain falling in their neighborhoods and in their minds, their emotions. They suffer a little bit at this time. There are resources out there for folks, though, aren't there?
There definitely there are some resources, and that was a great segue. Way to go. So the most important thing is that while we're kind of all hunkering down in our homes and everybody's trying to practice social distancing, you know, there are people that are getting isolated in their homes and people that are withdrawing a little bit. So we want to make sure that we're checking on our neighbors and checking on a population of, you know, our senior population that's really vulnerable, because a trip to the grocery store for them could very well be their social, you know, their social interactions. That's not happening. So I've heard that you have been putting on, I've heard the ad about the 24/7 support and referral line that the state has.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely want to give that number out again, because that's for anybody who's suffering from any kind of anxiety or difficult emotions due to COVID-19. They will, you know, kind of assess you and send you referrals of people where you can talk to in the community. So that phone number is 1-855-284-2494.
Okay.
So that is the 24/7 support and referral line.
Very important for folks to be sure that they take advantage of things like that. There's help out there, and one of the difficult things is getting people convinced to take advantage of resources that are just sitting there waiting for them.
Right, and one that's really important here in Indiana County that people can call directly is our crisis line that is run through the open door, and that goes on 24/7 too. In case somebody is in some kind of a mental health crisis or just needing to talk to somebody. That number is 1-877-333-2470. So that's a quicker route to talk to somebody right here in Indiana County on that crisis line. But if you can't remember those two numbers, you can always dial 211. It's a toll-free number in our area, and they will be able to refer you or, you know, connect you directly to the crisis lines.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a good thing to remember.
Absolutely. Those resources are there for you, and they're there for a specific reason. That's to help. So we need to be sure of that. Okay, what else going on today?
Well, another thing that I would really like to bring to people's attention, this just had come out yesterday. No, not yesterday, maybe a couple of days. My days are all getting mashed together here.
Mm-hmm.
But this came out from Harrisburg over at the Department of Environmental Protection, and it's really encouraging Pennsylvanians not to flush anything other than toilet paper down the toilet, because people are flushing things that aren't meant to be flushed. Like they say they're flushable wipes. They're flushing baby wipes. They're flushing sometimes like tissues or paper towels or napkins. Well, that's causing a really bad problem for the sewer systems.
Mm-hmm.
And the sewage treatment facilities have been dealing with a lot of increase in non-flushable materials, clogging all their filters and the equipment. So the last thing we need is for people to flush things down and then we break our sewage treatment facilities. That would be a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it says it's flushable, the odds are very, very good that they are not flushable. Even though they say that they are, they're not. And so, toilet paper should be the only thing going down your toilet, because it's specifically designed to break up. And none of the other tissues, none of the other materials really are designed to do that.
Right, and they actually mentioned that specifically in this article, that even if they're labeled flushable or biodegradable, that they should not be going down through the toilet into the sewer system. And the other thing, too, on that is also grease, fat, and oil. They can solidify and adhere to the insides of the pipes that carry the wastewater from homes and businesses to the wastewater treatment plant. Mm-hmm. And after time, those build up and they can restrict the flow of wastewater too. So, they really want to discourage people, from sending all that down your drain. Even if you have a garbage disposal, they don't want you to do that. So those are just, that was something that had come through my email, and I thought, that could be really devastating on all of our systems if we don't spread this word too.
Yeah, well, one of the interesting things to me about it is the stuff that we're putting down our drains, and we think that if it's out of the sink bowl, it's gone. It's not, especially in that trap right underneath your sink drain. Grease is going to lay in there, and it's going to build up, and eventually it's going to clog. So not only are you hurting your sewer systems, your sanitary, your wastewater treatments, you're hurting your own home, and you're going to cause yourself all kinds of problems. If you're putting grease down there, it will gel, and it will clog up. If you're putting flour down a drain with some water, that's going to cause a big problem. It's not something you want to get into.
No, and then you have to hire a plumber. So that's not, that's expensive. So, I would have to because I'm not very handy like that. But I try very hard not to do that because I want to avoid paying money out. So I'm very careful about that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I usually just drain like even any kind of, extra fat or anything that you're getting from the hamburgers or whatever. Just try to put it into another sealable container and put it into the garbage can instead.
That's
I just thought that was interesting, and I hadn't heard that through all of this so far. So I thought we maybe should mention that today.
One of the other things I noticed, because we had this problem in our own house, that tiny little vial of liquid that you're storing your contact lenses in the overnight.
Yes.
It's only an ounce or less of material. You put that down there, it's got chemicals in it, and you know what? Unless you really run a lot of water through to push that down through the system, it's going to get stuck in there too, and it builds up and clogs. And we had quite a mess earlier this year that I had to do some plumbing, and my goodness gracious, you wouldn't think that tiny little bit of liquid would build up like that, but it does. It causes a really gunky mess.
Oh, that's really surprising. Yeah. I would never have known that. Yeah, I would never have known that if you didn't say anything.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. But, I have to say, I am impressed at how far and wide this radio station reaches, because the last time I was here and we were talking about ICAP's food distribution and everything, I had many calls, and I spoke to many seniors, and we were trying to figure out how we could get them up on those food boxes for the seniors and different things like that. And the one thing that they did say is that the 4 walls are closing in on them.
Sure.
They wish they could go back outside and kind of resume and go back to the store and pick up things on their own. But for safety reasons, we really want them to stay at home for the time being, just because they seem so much more vulnerable to this coronavirus. So,
yeah, absolutely.
At least we're reaching people, and that is the whole point. We're here to help.
In your vulnerable position, and maybe you might not consider yourself to be vulnerable, but by the demographics, ages 65 and up, you are considered more vulnerable than any other age group or any other demographic period for contracting coronavirus or COVID-19 from the coronavirus. So you do need to be careful. There will be a food distribution from the Salvation Army again today. 250 food kits will be passed out beginning at 2 p.m. at the KCAC. So,
that is great. That's great news.
Yeah, they continue to do that. I think that's really one of the great successes around. Very good. Lisa, anything else we need folks to know about?
Well, that should probably do it for today. But I did hear Denise Liggett's coming up, and I love her, so I love working with her. So
Yes.
tell her I said a big hi.
I will do that. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, Todd.
You too. Bye.
Great day, Todd.
You too. Bye.